people who are the most successful, I've been working with high caliber entrepreneurs like your mom's talked about for 13 plus years. The people who are the most successful are those that can stay focused for the longest period of time. When I see people fall down, they are often very talented. They are full of drive. They are smart. They often have decent educations. They have skill set. You're thinking, well, how, if they have all of that, do they fall down? They lose focus.
Get ready for the next iteration of you on your path to becoming wealthy. On this show, you'll get the insider's view on wealth creation, the class none of us got taught in school, with my co-host, daughter, and beginning investor, Sophia Bosch. And now, let's get started. Welcome to the Becoming Wealthy podcast. I'm your host, Michelle Bosch. I'm here with my co-host,
Sophia Bosch.
And we have an amazing guest with us today. He is the CEO and founder of The Collective Genius, which is a mastermind for the top real estate investors in the nation. I have had the privilege together with Jack to be a member, I think, almost for 6, 7, 8 years at this point. And we have Jason Medley with us today. And Jason, welcome. How are you?
Excited to be here. Looking forward to chatting for the next 30 minutes or so. And hopefully we can have some fun and say something smart, right?
Thank you so much. I'm sure you will, because, I mean, if you've built a community of investors that is focused on really fast tracking their results, growing their businesses like every single member is in your organization. I mean, these are the top of the top, the creme of the creme of investing here in the nation. I'm sure you're going to have something super smart to say. So without further ado, Jason, I wanted to ask you about the fact that when you started in real estate, this is a show where with Sophia, we have as our goal over the next 5 years, get her to a 7-figure net worth. She's getting right now exposed to all kinds of ways onto how to become wealthy, because there's so many ways to skin this cat. And so you started actually in the transactional funding world. Can you explain very, very briefly to Sophia so that she can walk away also with an actionable strategy or way or methodology to make money in a simplified manner? What does transactional funding mean? And why did you start with that? What are some of the benefits? How do you mitigate risk? And maybe an example so she can grasp that concept, and the generations of other girls that are listening to this podcast as well, get to hear from you, and you get to be, an extended dad to Sophia here as well.
All right. Well, so what is transactional funding? Well, the better thing to do is just to start by saying the name transactional funding. So what does that mean? That means that when you lend transactional funds, it is not typically underwritten the way a normal deal would be underwritten. It's not about you, the borrower, and your credit score and your pay stubs or any of that. It's about the transaction, right? And so you think, well, why would you lend money to someone when you really don't care about their credit or credit score or money in the bank or anything like that? And the reason that you would do that, at least in a real estate environment, is you say, okay, I have gone out and I have contracted this home for $300,000. I'm going to close on it on January 3rd. Mm-hmm. I already have someone else to buy it from me on January 3rd for $350,000. The problem is I don't have $300,000 to buy it, to resell it for $350,000, right? I just need that money for a few hours. That's it, right? And so transactional funding would be me saying, you know what, Sophia, if you can show me that you have the contract to buy it on December 3rd for $300,000, and you can show me that you have a contract to sell it for $350,000 the same day, and you just need that money for a few hours, then Sophia, I don't care that you haven't been paying your bills lately, okay? It's okay. You've got a few dings on that credit score because we are comfortable from an underwriting perspective because you already have it resold, right? And so it is called transactional funding because the underwriting parameters or decisions are made based on the transaction rather than your personal credit worthiness.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's what transactional funding is. The example would be just like I told you.
Yeah.
Okay, I found a deal. I got it for $300,000. I'm going to sell it the same day for $350,000. The problem is I don't have $300,000. So we will wire that money into the title company for you to show that you have the money. They see you have the money. They close the deal. They immediately turn around and close the second transaction for $350,000, and then you get to walk with your profit.
Yeah.
Right. So
Sophia,
that's what.
So Jason, for example, or anyone that does transactional funding like Jason would be a great resource in the case where you have a land flip right now that you have for $4,500 under contract. You're trying to sell it for $15,000. You're going to find a buyer and you're going to do double escrow. In the case that you do double escrow, the buyer's proceeds are being used to pay the seller. But there are certain states in which we cannot do double escrow. And then we would use somebody like Jason that offers the service to come in basically and give us the funds just for a few hours or a few minutes in this case, and close on the A to B side of the transaction so that then we could close on the B to C. Yeah.
One of the big reasons that you can probably resell that for 15 grand and use their money to make your purchase at 4,500 is more than likely on a small transaction like that $15,000 is $15,000 in cash. There's probably not a loan associated with it, right? Yeah. So the rules are far more lax when the individual on the other side is using cash. Now, if they were getting a loan, a lot of times the lender is the one who says, hey, you cannot use our cash to close your $4,500 transaction. So that's when you would need to go out and secure funding, even though it's only for a short period of time. And what your mom described is what's called dry funding, right? You're using the other person's money that you're reselling to fund your purchase. A wet transaction is when a wet funding is when both parties have to have their own money.
Yeah. Okay. Wonderful. Thank you for the clarification. Now, so this is how you started in the real estate world, Jason, and then you very quickly realized that your unique ability, that your gift is that you are an amazing connector, sir. And as a result, Sophia got to experience your magic, which, by the way, we're eternally gracious for you allowing her in June to, be part of the Collective Genius. She had just started sending out letters. She was making offers. Now she has 5 deals under contract that she's marketing right now. And so,
cool.
So we're moving along. It was of, I think, incredible inspiration to just see the caliber of the members there. And like I said, she got to experience your magic of bringing 150 of the top investors together. And so what can the right relationships do for you? If there's someone that understands the power of relationships, that's you, Jason. So can you explain to Sophia a little bit beyond what she was able to see, what has relationship meant for you and for the members of the Collective Genius?
Sure. I think ultimately, if you had to really try to sum it up and make it simple, we all have where we're at today, and we all have, or you should have, a set of dreams and goals, right? So you're here, and those dreams and goals are here. And in between those two things, in between those 2 points is time.
Yeah.
Right? The right connections can compress that time to achieve your goals. So that's probably the most simple way, because what happens is along the way between where you're at and your goals, you're going to have problems, challenges, opportunities that you don't necessarily have the experience to handle. And when you have the right connections, you get paired with individuals that say, hey, Sophia, don't worry about that particular issue you're having. I've been through that 100 times. I've been in the business 4 times longer than you have, and I'm going to help you fix that. And normally, if you had to figure it out yourself, it would probably take you 9 months, but I'm going to help you. We probably get it done in 45 days. So I just saved you 7.5 months because of the right connection.
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now,
or you might say, you know what? I'm buying this. Hey, I've got this property for $4,500. I've negotiated it. It's a great deal. I know I can sell it for 15,000. Where do I get the money? Okay, well, let me connect you with someone that can provide you with the money. Right? I don't have a title company. I got a deal, but I don't have your network can connect you with and solve the vast majority of your issues or challenges.
yeah. If it doesn't come to someone naturally to be an amazing connector,
Yeah, how do you build that?
How do you build
Strength
that
and, like-
strength? And then how do you decide which relationships to pursue?
So, I think ultimately, for me, I don't necessarily know that I intentionally built it as much as I had time in the business. That over time, with time in the business, I looked up and you're like, okay, I have a network from time in the business. But time in the business means, for example, you should be going to conferences like you did with your mom and dad, right? Like that's a huge thing. Or joining organizations like CG, where that's what people are there for. They're looking to expand their network, right? And so ultimately, I think time in the business is one of the biggest factors. Number two, intentionality. Because once you're in a business, you start to determine who the players are. Once you know who the players are, you have to be intentional about connecting with those players to see if you have any synergies in which you can work together, right? So time in the business, intentionality, going to conferences. And then I think once you have those things, you begin to kind of look up, and then based upon what your goals are and what you're trying to achieve, or whatever strategies you're trying to employ, then you can look up and say, okay, within my network, who are the people that can help me employ those strategies and achieve those results? And then those are the relationships that you pursue.
Right now, as Sophia starts her journey, she's going to be a small fish in the tank. And I'm sure you remember a time when, that was you. How did you, what did you do to sometimes, get over the fear of speaking up, of reaching out? Like any practical strategies there or tools that you could leave her with in order to get out of her own way, pretty much?
I think ultimately you have to lose the fear of rejection and understand that it's not personal.
Yeah.
I can tie a couple things all together in like one big example. Your mom talked about network. Well, one of the things we want to do at CG this year is grow our email list, our database, right? So the event we have next week, Michelle, we have a big keynote speaker there. So we went out to all of the people in CG members who have big databases and said, hey, we will let your database watch our keynote. We're going to stream it live, right? Mm-hmm. So I specifically targeted the people in CG with those databases so I can accomplish my goals, right? So I was intentional about who I chose to work with. Now, we probably asked 30 people. I think as of today, 11 said yes, which means 19 said no. It's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay. 11 is going to be a big number, right? So,
and you're going to be reaching the people that need to be reached, that you're meant to reach, Yeah,
19 said no. That's okay. No big deal, right? Now, sometimes it's not batched like that. Sometimes you're working an individual at a time, and you almost have to understand that a no is one step closer to a yes. So in other words, if you ask 10 people for something and 2 of them say yes and 8 say no, when you're on your 6th no, you're only 2 more no's away from a yes.
That is fantastic. And that is actually such an amazing perspective for her. She just became part of the leadership for a youth program called the Lymphoma and Leukemia Society. And she's basically raising with 2 other friends that are also 16, $150,000 starting January 11th. They have like 7 weeks for a campaign. And she's going to be coming across, situations where...
there might be no's, there might be yeses, but I will for sure learn that lesson. I feel like
Yeah.
that a no or no is one step closer to yes.
And no, it will be one step closer to a yes. Absolutely. Now, so what do you think keeps the magic together, keeps people coming back to CG, like Jack and myself, that keep on renewing? I mean, you obviously are building value, but more than value, let's talk about the values that keep CG together and keep it thriving and growing, that you uphold yourself to and your team and the members, and that you're possibly even passing on now to your daughter, right?
Yeah.
So what are some of those values?
I mean, we operate from a set of core values, and I think most businesses should, right? But there's kind of that moment where it's like you and a couple of people, but you don't really have an organization yet, right? And when you cement a set of core values what are core values? Okay, well, who are we? What do we stand for? What do we stand against as an organization, as a company, as a business, right? And so I think when you define those things, then you take a set of individuals and turn them into an actual cohesive team, right? Because together you've chosen your values. Together you've decided what you stand for and what you stand against. And then as you move forward in your business, the right people based upon those choices you've made will be attracted to you, and the wrong people will be repelled by you, honestly. So I think having, our number one core value is community, right? Which is like, hey, we're a community. It's like, I don't know that we're as crazy as the Navy SEALs, but we got to stand by each other. We got to take care of each other when someone in this community needs help, whether that's at a business level or a personal level or whatever, you help them, right? And so community is of, critical importance. And then go giving is one of our other core values. And to me, that's really one of the things that cements the bedrock of CG, is that you have not just people there to make a bunch of money and grow their business, but in order to honor the community, you have to kind of be willing to help other people. And if you're willing to help other people, then that makes you a go-giver, right? Like you are in pursuit of helping others. And so, having a set of values, I think is critical. But I think because that is what cements your culture, right? And in CG, what's kind of like all the C's: culture, collaboration, communication. There's so many, different things that once you set values in place happen inside of your business. And I think the other thing too is that what keeps coming back is like, we won't get into details here, but your mom and your dad have done pretty well for themselves, right? And so have I. And so when you get to a certain phase or a certain stage of your life, you want to keep making money, no doubt about it. But the adrenaline rush from it, if I was being honest, it completely wears off.
Yeah.
Right? I love making money. I want to make more this next year than I did this year, but the adrenaline from that wears off. And then so you look up at the people around you in your life and you think, okay, well, I want to spend time around people that not only just help me make money, but people that push me to be a better mother, a better father, a better parent, a better leader, a better leader in the business, a better leader at home, better leader in the community. Like who I want the people around me to make me a better human being, not just more money.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
Because we make a distinction with Sophia that, it's not just about the goal that we have for the 5 years, because that is ambition, which is all about the outcome. But aspiration is about who we're becoming in the process of getting to that outcome, which is, I think, what you're speaking about. And there is this constant, I think, elevation that we go through, as we achieve certain levels and normalize these levels. And you start turning, your scope a little bit bigger and bigger and bigger, and looking at how can I help in the community on a bigger scale, which is amazing and part of what makes CG so special, with the generous genius aspect of it. And I wanted to before I talk a little bit about the generous genius, I wanted to talk a little bit about the special videos that you're creating inside of a Facebook group for your little girl. Can you tell us about that?
Yes. Well, this goes to show you too, your network and your community. What I'm about to share with you guys, I got the idea from a member of the Collective Genius, Joe Taylor. And so what I do is in the mornings, I create videos to my little girl. I'm actually going to try and.
How old is she now, Jason?
She is not
Okay.
little anymore. That is for sure. But so we have our own Facebook page. And if you see, there's only one member. She does not have a Facebook page. It's just me as the member, but it's called the Medley family. And what you can see is I make her videos in the morning. You get to see me at my best there in the morning, right? Where I'm just talking about the lessons that I'm learning in life, or things that I want her to learn. And there's just video after video here of, like this one right here is titled "The Right Decision versus the Easiest Decision."
Does she know
Don't be
that you do
lazy.
this?
What's that?
She knows that you do this for her, right?
Yeah, so I held it. She didn't know for a very long time. And then when I put her to bed at night one night, I said, Daddy wants to show you something. And so I started sharing them with her. And then sometimes we listen to them on the way to school and stuff like that. But just little videos that, trying to help make her better. And then one day, he'll have like, I'll invite her to that page when she's, I don't know, maybe 12 or 13,
Yeah.
a few years from now. Yeah. Where she can actually get in there and be like, oh my gosh, my dad's the coolest. Because all those videos.
I hope Sophia can say about her mom, my mom's the coolest. She had me on a podcast, learning and meeting all these amazing individuals, superhumans, which leads me to ask you about the generous genius. And that's the arm of CG that she also got the opportunity to experience in June. And why is that so important to you? What is it and why is it so important to you, Jason?
Yeah. So when I talked about, forming a set of values and what you stand for, what you stand against, one of the things that we say at CG is with blessing comes a responsibility to help those around you. And, we are, if you're in the top tier of the Collective Genius, you've pretty much quote unquote made it. And you probably have done quite well financially. And so it's like, once you reach a point where you have so much excess, and you don't need to wait until you have excess to give. I certainly am not implying that. But in fact, I think it's one of the most beneficial things you can do is allocate a portion of your earnings, regardless of where you're at financially. But so with blessing comes responsibility to help others around us. And so we effectively raise capital from our members, and then we look at our members and say, who in here is the head of a charity or very high up in a charity that we would like to get behind, whether that's YWAM that builds houses in Mexico for people that have never had a home, or whether it's Bright Futures, which is an orphanage in Guatemala. Mm-hmm. So we raise the capital from our members. We deploy it to members who are in those charities, deploy it to the charities that they are behind. And then we actually get on planes and fly on the ground to those places to actually put that money to work where, okay, well, the orphanage needs some construction. Okay, well, people will fly to Guatemala, use the funds we raised. Members of the organization will go down there and handle some of that construction, right? And in the process, bond with the kids. It's also an opportunity for parents to take their children.
Yes.
Yeah.
We still want to do that. We still want to do that for sure.
Ava and I just got back from a trip in June. Is our second trip to Generous Genius. We just had a batch of people come back a month ago. And a lot of people take their kids because a lot of kids in America just really have no fundamental understanding of what they are born into and how fortunate they are to get like to start here,
Yeah.
you know? And so it's a great grounding experience for everybody in the family to go and do something like that.
You
So
need to let us
yeah,
know when the next one is, for sure. So
I
we can
will.
start,
I will. Yeah.
we can start planning
Are you guys going to be able to make it out
next week.
next week? Yeah. No.
I think that one is East Coast or West Coast?
East Coast.
East Coast. Probably not, but you have
Probably
another
not.
one coming in Q1 and we will do that one for sure. And
Okay, we'll send out the dates for the next build. Yeah.
Yeah. So to wrap things up, Jason, because we want to honor your time, what any last pieces of advice? I mean, you have access to amazing visionaries, leaders in different markets, within the industry of real estate, but real high caliber people in this journey that Sophia's going on of becoming wealthy. Any piece of advice that you like highlights things that you see patterns? Wow, every single one of the guys that are doing this kind of level of work in the world and impact are doing this. Maybe a few things that you have noticed for yourself.
Yeah, I'm going to share some with you that's probably going to fall on deaf ears, but there will come a time when you're like, "Will you remember this?" There's nothing sexy about it. The people who are the most successful, I've been working with high caliber entrepreneurs like your mom's talked about for 13 plus years. The people who are the most successful are those that can stay focused for the longest period of time. There are often people that have, when I see people fall down, they are often very talented. They are full of drive. They are smart. They often have decent educations. They have skill set. You're thinking, well, how, if they have all of that, do they fall down? They lose focus. It's when you are a creative, talented individual, it is very common to get to a place where you achieve just a little, I don't even want to call it a level of mastery, right? Like a fundamental understanding of having a business where, okay, I'm making more money than I need, right? Oh, well, the first thing I'll do is go do something else then and start from scratch and create a distraction from this beautiful thing I've created over here that's taking good care of me and my family. So yeah, I'm just going to go focus on something else and that'll keep going. It probably won't.
Sophia, determination, relentless pursuit, focus.
Don't spread yourself.
And don't spread yourself.
Yeah. Think of it this way. Speaking of spreading thin, right? I'm doing this one thing. I'm putting 100% of my efforts into it and it's getting bigger and it's getting bigger and it's getting better and it's making me more money. And and then you say, okay, I'm going to do these 4 other things. And now instead of 100% into one thing, you've got 20% spread into 5 things. So you're only doing any of those 5 things with 20% of your effort and focus. And then you are doing everything with marginality instead of one thing with excellence.
I love that. That is like the cherry on top to end this episode. And
I for sure learned that the hard way this year. I think I said yes to too many things.
Yes.
So I didn't keep my focus. And so now I'm learning how to balance my commitments until I do these commitments for only like a period of time and then they drop away.
Yeah.
So I can focus on
other stuff. Yeah.
That's a great lesson.
Yes. Jason, if anyone that is listening to this episode would like to hear more about the Collective Genius and basically inquire, we have a lot of, as you know, in our community, a lot of women land investors that are doing extremely well. where can they go and find out more information?
The easiest thing to do would just be to go check out our website. We have 3 different levels, if you will, kind of based on where you're at in your business. We have the elevate level when it's maybe you and like one person, and you're starting to develop a little success. You're maybe doing 200,000 to 500,000 revenue. Then we have our select level where you've got some momentum. You got a couple of team members. Maybe you're doing 500 to 2 million in revenue. And then there's our premier level, which Jack and Michelle are in, and that's typically $2 million in revenue or more. In most cases, a lot more than that. But those 3 options are there. If you want to learn more about any of them based upon where you're at right now, you kind of click, hey, this sounds the closest to where I'm at. And then it'll just kind of share with you the details of that particular level of the collective genius. So there you have it.
Thank you so much, sir. And for those of you listening, thank you so much for letting us come into your home, into your mind, into your space, every single week, and leave us a 5-star review. Share this episode with someone if this was of value to you that needs to hear it. Maybe it's your teenager, maybe it's a special woman in your life. Share it and help us spread the word. Thank you so much.